Hello, welcome back to Shock's Talks. I'm Shakti, and this is my weekly update. This is my anomalous study hall where I share with you whatever it is that I'm deep diving into. Currently, it's the out of body experience. So, on this channel, you'll find a bunch of playlists if you're interested in, I would call it the elementary school level of UFO history, although it probably goes a little deeper than that, maybe middle school level. But my first few episodes, all of season one, the UFO deep dive playlist contains pretty much the key points of the UFO history, the story. And I recently went on a dolphin watching boat excursion, and we were with a pod of dolphins that was like 700 dolphins is what they estimated, and you couldn't see all of them because there's a ton of them on the surface. It was a big, big pod. But for every dolphin on the surface, there's like 7 layers deep that go down under the water. And so that's kind of like what the UFO topic is like. There are many, many layers. And I got into the topic because I'm trying to understand the nature of reality better so that I can better navigate it, because I've had some difficulty in the past where, due to my own anomalous traumas and anomalous experiences, both good and bad, I almost lost my mind. And it's something that can happen to any of us because we live in a paradigm that denies a lot of the truth of what's going on. And it makes it hard to navigate regular waking reality when you're having these penetrations into your reality from other dimensions. And that's what a lot of experiencers have gone through. And so I got drawn towards that part of the anomalous topics. And I also had some alien stuff going on, had some experiences. So because of that, I wanted to understand the history. I wanted to understand what people know, what people have documented, and it was so fun and so interesting, and I went pretty deep with it, but there's always deeper layers. So this is like introductory level, but also I think I do a really good job of just highlighting the things that matter when it comes to the topic, because there's also so much noise when it comes to the research around UFOs, and there's so much disinformation, and it's a big, tangly mess. And it's almost better, for me at least, to just stay grazing the surface. I sense the depth, I feel it, I know it, I have my own experience with it, and I'm always listening to weirder stuff, and there's always more that I'm thinking about that I'm not sharing on this channel, but I want to make it palatable, because I know that there are certain people who still haven't even dipped their toes in these waters, and it's so overwhelming and it's such a turnoff to them. I want to be a bridge, I love meeting weirdos who are just way out there and already have their own theories and have done a bunch of research, and I tend to attract those kinds of people, but I'm also connected to a lot of really quote unquote normies, like, and I need to be connected to both. It's just part of my soul's mission. I need a foot in both worlds. I've always wanted to just untether myself and go all the way out to the deep end, and I've done it. It did not yield a good result. It was not practical for me to be in that space in this life. I have to be grounded, and I have to stay connected to the normal normies. It's just something I signed up for. So I'm trying to be that bridge. So this channel is going to function in a way where, if we went for a little walk together, we could talk about some shit. We could talk about some weird things. And sometimes I'm going to share a little bit of that stuff here, but I don't go all the way into it all the time because I don't want to alienate certain people. It's just really important to me that we all stay in this conversation together as much as possible. So that's what I'm practicing here on this channel. And it's also just a place for me to show up and be myself, because I am a soul who needs to express my true nature. And I spent a lot of time developing false personas at an early age in order to navigate this reality, because I felt so different and so weird and blah, blah, blah. Don't we all? It's like the Radiohead song "I'm a Creep." It was on at karaoke last night, and somebody was like, "This is totally shock decor," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've definitely done this song at karaoke before, because I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here?" Anyway, you understand. We're all weirdos, but we're all trying to live this life, and we have these spiritual lessons and journeys, and also we're just trying to navigate this weird world of capitalism and materialist thinking and warmongering and inequality, and we want to make things better, but we don't want to get lost in ego level stuff that is not actually going to be productive, but we don't want to get too esoteric and lose track of practical actions that need to happen in order to move things forward in the physical matter reality. So it's a lot, you know? And so this is just a place to come and reground and create community. I love imagining what doors this might open for me just by putting myself out here and making this channel. And I've already made some really cool connections just because I have started this work. So that's why I'm here. Thank you for being here. And today I just want to talk a little bit more about my journey into this at will, out of body stuff and some of the thoughts that I've been thinking around this whole topic of out of body. And again, I'm just feeling myself getting drawn back to the work of Tom Campbell. And for those who don't know, if you've started the out of body research, you're deep in it. You already know all the names and all the people, but it's kind of infinite. Again, it's like all those dolphins going deeper and deeper down. There's just so many layers to psi phenomena. But for me, in my life, when I found Tom Campbell's theory of everything, it was the most clarifying framework that allowed me to make changes in my current way of navigating reality back at the time when I found it that impacted my life in the biggest way that anything has ever impacted in my life. So that's why I always go back to it, because I'm measuring things based on how useful they are, not how cool they are, how interesting they are, because there's a lot of cool stuff out there. There's a lot of very interesting stuff, but a lot of it is not very helpful. It actually just starts to spin you out even more. And Tom Campbell's a little dry. It's a little boring. He's not perfect in every way. I know he's not for everyone, but for me, he simplified things in a way that allowed me to navigate my own reality and make some serious changes. And I still go back to his work and his teachings on a regular basis because it's just so simple. So, at the root of it all, just the most simple way that I can describe to you the essence of what I got from him, it's all about choice. So, in his theory, we are consciousness. We're all individuated units of consciousness in a consciousness reality. So, it's the idea of like the matrix kind of. Everything is information. We are awareness experiencing that information. But we're not just awareness. We are awareness with a choice. That's how he defines us. We have free will. Beyond that, we're in a system. That system is full of chaos, unfortunately, or maybe it's for the best, but it is what it is. We do not have total control over everything in this reality frame, the physical matter reality frame. And this reality frame is just a subset of a larger reality, the non physical. And so this is where his work starts to intersect with all of these people who are having these out of body experiences, and where I think we should all continue to return to his work, using it as a lens through which to view our own experiences. Not to say that we need to subscribe to everything that he has decided, but that it's definitely worth considering, because what he talks about is very different in a very tiny way, like in a very specific, slight way, but there's something very different about his work from everyone else's work. And I'm going to tell you what it is right now. Everyone else who's going out of body, having visionary experiences, having psychedelic experiences, and meditative experiences of consciousness takes the experiences quite literally. And Tom Campbell has been doing it for so long and with such a specific purpose that he has come to the conclusion that most of what's going on out there is us directly interfacing with the larger consciousness system itself for the purpose of our learning and growth. And it is rendering these different forms and these different training modules for us. So whether it's a non-physical entity that you're connecting with, or a reality frame that you're entering into through an OBE or a meditative state, the thing that matters most is not labeling what's going on or who it is that you're talking to, but rather the essence of the exchange, the quality of the communication. And this upsets a lot of people because everybody wants to latch on to, like, well, I'm talking to Ashtar of the Galactic Command and he told me this and da 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 da, or I'm talking to angels and that makes me special because I am holy and angels have showed me this and that and I believe them because they made me feel so good when I was out there, and somebody else thinks they're talking to demons. And the bottom line is, it's all smoke and mirrors, because out in consciousness, like, everything is so powerful and we are so susceptible. Like, we're so vulnerable in a way because of the fact that we tend to keep our awareness focused in this little tiny reality. We're very easily wowed. We're very easily wowed. And when we feel overwhelmed with emotion, we fully take it as like, that was so special. That must really mean something. But listen, as someone who has done a lot of experimenting in this life, kind of try to think about, like, if you've ever done a really powerful drug. And if you haven't done a drug, like a psychedelic drug or a heart expanding drug that really floods your chemicals or, gets certain things flowing, you don't even have to have done it with a substance. You could have just fallen in love, because we all know there's no more powerful drug than that. Like, that is the ultimate crazy making, life altering. Like, if you have a little touch of the crazy in you, there's nothing like love to send you over the edge and make you lose your damn mind, right? Like, we've all been there. So these chemical experiences that we have as embodied humans are really, really important for us to take note of and to understand the impacts, because that's going to help us better navigate these consciousness experiences. Let me try to make this make sense. So, I fell really hard for this guy a long, 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 long time ago, but it was the combination of probably a soul contract. There was definitely some deep, deep level stuff going on there. Physical attraction, chemicals from both of us doing drugs at the time that amplified everything. And the craziest part is that I also think that he had been so far gone in that kind of realm of darkness that, like, he was actually hosting non-physical entities that might have been his own egregores of his own imagination or whatever, but he had kind of a multiple personality thing going on in a way, and I could sense the different entities that were within him, and so I was also connecting to those and they were infiltrating my system. It's like catching a communicable disease, a communicable psychic disease, and this really can happen because we can catch thought forms even. We really have to become aware of what's going on in the subtle layers of reality in order to have some more agency. Because right now, we're all being dragged around by these unseen forces. and we have a pretty skewed way of interpreting what's going on. And I'm not saying that I have it all figured out because it's very complicated, but what I will say is that I've learned through experience how powerful consciousness experiences can be and how they can alter the course of our lives. You know, they can start steering our souls in new directions. And that's just something that we might want to think about. Maybe it's fine. Maybe who cares what direction our soul is getting steered in. But for me, once I saw what was going on, I wanted to participate more. I wanted to be making more conscious choices about where my energy was going and what it was doing and who else's energies were in my energy field. And it's been a long, long road, and I'm still learning so much every day. And literally every single day, I have to do energy clearing at the end of each day because I'm like a sponge. I go out in the world, and the way that I connect with people is I shoot out. I don't even mean to. This is just what I've observed about myself. I have all these tendrils. I'm like a little sea anemone of energy. And those tendrils are very long and stretchy, and they can go very, very far. In fact, they can go anywhere in an instant. It's like this instantaneous connection. If I think about someone, I can start connecting to their energy. And what ends up happening is it's a two-way street. It's like I'm flowing my energy to them, and they're flowing their energy back to me. And so not only am I getting drained because my energy is going out, but I'm also receiving someone else's stuff. And in that process, I'm learning about them, which is cool for me if I'm interested in them, you know, if it's someone I care about. But sometimes it's just someone I'm thinking about that I didn't even want to be thinking about. And then I know too much and I have too much of their energy, and it starts to bog me down and I start to lose track of like my own self. And I've had to learn a lot of techniques to be able to manage that. And so, but it's all just visualization because the things that are happening in the first place are happening because of thought forms. You know, it's the way that I'm organizing energy is through my thoughts, through my interpretation of what's going on. So in order to better control that and to like break free from any negative patterns that I'm participating in, I have to keep learning and I have to keep experimenting. And that's why I make this channel every week, because it gets me to show up for myself. And it also gives me an outlet to express my true nature because I can't just talk about this all day, every day, even though I want to. I do have some really cool people that I get to work with who are very open to these things, but sometimes you just got to focus on what's in front of you. And I just, right now in my life, I'm being asked by reality to just show up and do more normie stuff. So I just have to do this so that I don't get too pent up because I've tried being as normal as I could be in this life and it just doesn't work for me. I always end up reaching kind of a tipping point where everything comes crashing down and sometimes I just go too far in the opposite direction. So I'm trying to learn balance. And so this channel helps me with that. But I'm thinking a lot about this because as I go out of body, I'm learning that consciousness experiences really are on a gradient. And this is something that Tom Campbell talks about in his own terms. And the longer I do my own practices, the more I'm getting my own direct firsthand knowledge of exactly what he described, which is that my awareness is actually free to be anywhere in the consciousness system at any time. How much I am able to perceive of these other, you could call them web addresses. That's kind of the metaphor he uses. But like, let's say I'm sending my consciousness into, I want to have an out of body experience. I'm practicing out of body. So I'm just trying to get my conscious to loosen from the focus of being within this body, which is where I'm primarily focused. That is something that I have been doing for a long time, but what I haven't quite been able to do is bring myself into total clarity when I'm out of my body. So, for example, in the process that I'm in right now, I'll be meditating, I'll be laying down with the binaural beats. I'll go through my whole body relaxation. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at dropping awareness in my body. Still having a little bit of a hard time getting it out of my upper neck and head area. That takes a little more deeper relaxation, but I did it yesterday and I'm fully out, but I'm not like seeing things yet. I'm just feeling myself expanding beyond my body. I'm feeling my energy start to whoosh and wobble. And sometimes it feels like it's raising up a little bit. You know, you feel like you're levitating or you feel like you're a big marshmallow person. That's what I've been experiencing. And then I'll start to visualize, but it's in the same way as like a dream. So I'll start to dream that I'm out of body. Like I open my eyes and I look down and I see my arms and I see my legs. I'm still in myself. But then I realize, oh my God, I'm wearing a blindfold. So I'm seeing without eyes now. Oh my God, I've been wanting to do this. But then I realize, wait a second, but when I laid down, I was in the perpendicular position to where I normally lay. And now that I'm looking at myself, I'm in the normal orientation. So this must be a dream. So then I'm like in a lucid dream, you know? But all of this is just me trying to play with my own ability to stay conscious and lucid and aware in different kinds of states of awareness, not just waking reality. And it is so tricky, but it's also so rewarding. And it's like, it's cool. It's really fun. And I'm doing it. But I'm noticing that it's also a little bit scary. And everybody talks about this and talks about the fear tests and talks about having to face your fears and getting over them. But it's funny in a way, like how easy it is to scare yourself. Like when I was practicing the other day, I did 4 hours of practice yesterday. I started hearing a little bit of voices again during the exit experience. And I didn't get all the way into the vibrational state. I started having a little bit of vibration. And then I heard a voice of this guy whose channel I've been listening to a lot. His name is Andre, and his channel is the Alchemist 369. And he talks about his own out of body experiences. And he has a very distinct voice. He reminds me of a friend of mine from years ago. And I heard him going like, yeah, like he could, like almost like an encouraging voice where he could see what I was doing and he was telling me, good, you're on the right track. But the thing is, I don't interpret that as necessarily him being there telling me that, like he was watching me and seeing what was going on and I heard his voice. I think it's the larger consciousness system is sending me a little packet of encouragement, and I am interpreting it through the lens of this person who is very prevalent in my psyche right now because I've been absorbing a lot of his content. So I am putting the overlay on this little packet of information that's coming from the larger consciousness system itself. I think that's likely. I don't know for sure, and it doesn't matter. And everyone has their own interpretations of what's going on in these experiences. But eventually, when it gets interesting is when, you know, if I was friends with Andre, I could be like, did you happen to go out of body at this time on this day? And did you see me trying to go out of body? And he'd probably be like, no, I was doing my own stuff. Like, why would I be doing that? You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. We see people in dreams and it's like, oh, I saw you out there and you were doing this and that. I'm always like, cool, that's interesting. I love it when I show up in other people's dreams and I know I'm out there. So maybe something's going on, but also maybe someone was experiencing something and they just put me as the skin on that character. They just overlaid me onto it because they had just happened to think about me earlier in that day, or the character reminded them of me, or maybe the larger consciousness system put on the Shakti character for them because they knew that it would make them think about whatever the thing was that it was trying to get them to think about in a slightly different way when they brought my flavor into it or whatever. So I think there's a lot of overlay going on. And there are many interesting works, bodies of work that try to put language to these overlays. Right now, I've talked about it a couple times, but the work of Nancy Trivellato and Luis Minero and Wagner Allegretti and who's the other one that works with them? Anyway, a lot of these people came from Brazil, I think, originally, or at least some of them did. And they have a whole way of like speaking about these things and this whole body of work around the nuance of the energy work that supports us in the out of body state, how to prepare for it, how to get into the vibrational state, benefits of just purely the vibrational state, even separate from the out of body experience. And the thing that I love most about the work of Luis Monero is the way that he talks about the thought forms in the various reality frames. And it's the compare and contrast that's really helping me to make sense of these things, and comparing my own experiences with other people's videos where they talk about what they went through and with the books and the research. And what I'm seeing is that there's a lot we can learn from our dreams, and dreams are very important, and they're a very good way to move into greater consciousness experiences, because in the dream world, you're in your own thoughts, more or less, but you're also on the cusp. You're a little bit outside of yourself, and you're on the cusp of going into other realities. So it's like turning a dial. It's almost like when you have your lights on, like a fader or something. What I've noticed is that when I'm going into these dream realms and I'm gaining lucidity, everything is still kind of dark, and I'm trying to bring up the light, bring up the clarity, bring up the focus, and then gain some kind of mastery over my own non-physical self. Because in physical matter reality, just like babies, we learn how to walk, we learn how to speak, we learn how to take care of our elimination processes. We take things in and we eliminate things out. And there's a lot of similarities, it seems like, in the non-physical, but in those realms, we have to do it with energy. Like, we're taking things in, we're expressing things out, we have to navigate, we have to interact, but the rules are slightly different, and there's a lot more softness and wishy-washiness because there are all these thought forms floating around out there. Some of them are our own, others are collective thought forms that are co-created by all of us. And those things are all mingling around like these trash islands in the ocean that we have here on Earth, you know? There's like all these beautiful ecosystems in the ocean, but there's also these clumps of trash floating around. And when you knock into one of those, it can really mess you up, you know? It can ruin a whole ecosystem. It can throw off whatever's going on in this little fish kingdom over here. And unfortunately, in the psychic realms, we have a lot of trash islands floating around, it seems, and a lot of like negative stuff that we've all created. And from what I'm learning, it's those psychic levels that are actually the precursor to what goes on the physical level. So if there's a lot of junk and trash and nastiness in our own psychic bubble or in the collective one beyond us, that can be the root of discomfort, disease, distress, and other problems in physical matter reality. So a lot of energy workers and healers and people who work on themselves and their friends and other family members are doing that work on the non-physical level and then seeing the results in physical matter reality. It is possible to do the work in physical matter reality too, and both things are important. I think we're here to walk with our feet one in each world. At least I know that's part of my path, is to have to straddle across these two dimensions of reality. As much as I want to just untether myself and be out in the wild, great beyond, I have to be here, or I chose to be here. I guess I'm currently choosing to be here is what I'll say. But I need to be there too. I need to be aware in that part of reality, and I'm so so desperate to have these experiences ramp up that I'm like dedicating hours and hours of practice to it right now. And I am seeing great progress, and it's kind of mind blowing. It's easy to write it off. It's easy to feel like, oh, not enough is happening, but so much is happening. I almost can't even talk about it because I feel like I don't want to break the spell. I want to keep going. So I need to get to a point where I feel like really confident with what's going on, and then hopefully I can talk more about my own experience in a way that could be helpful to others, because everyone who does that has helped me. So I think we all have to keep sharing. But right now, I'm really just trying to get to a place where I can basically shift data streams, as Tom Campbell calls it. And shifting data streams is just allowing your awareness to shift from the present moment, physical matter reality, to other non physical databases. So you don't have to go out of body to do it. You don't have to lose all of your awareness of this body. Many people can just do the bilocation or the multi-level processing where they're kind of in two places at once. So you could just be sitting, talking, looking very normal, and your consciousness could be in another dimension simultaneously. It's like having multiple tabs open on the computer. But I'm trying to do the thing where you close one tab completely and go into the other one completely, because that just seems really cool and it's something I want to do. I'm pretty good at the multi-processing, actually. I'm not as good at just being in one place at a time, and that's something I want to do. So I'm trying to gain that control. And then the other thing that we all have to learn as the veil continues to thin, and by the way, you're psychic, I'm psychic, we're all psychic. It's not a big deal. It's not special. It's literally happening to everyone. And it's very important that we keep our egos in check as it continues to happen. And I'm telling this to myself because we all want to be special. It's just literally what we all want so bad. We want to be so special. We want to be so powerful because the world is crazy and we're a bunch of restless spirits around here. But the thing is, we are special. We literally are so special, and we literally are so powerful. And the only thing blocking us from that experience is ourselves. So once you get into that space of like, okay, I am special and I am powerful, but so is everyone, things clear up a lot because you look around you and you're like, all right, it's not just these people who are talking about it. It's not just the people on the channels or writing the books or at the special seminars or hosting the workshops. No, actually, the most psychic people I've met are usually like, it's this Uber driver, it's this random person on a street corner, literally doing drawings for like $1. It's the person working at the liquor store. Like, I'm telling you, I'm serious. Like, the people that I've met that are the most psychic, they're out in the country, they're driving their truck around, smoking a blunt, spouting the most spiritual, crazy stuff I've ever heard. It's not the people in the institutions. They're fine. Everybody's got their own different way, but there's a lot of psychic people out there having a lot of experiences. And guess what? They're not all talking about it because it's an advantage to some people to not talk about it. And the ones that are talking about it the most, and maybe I'm even included in this because I'm out here trying to make this channel, but like be more skeptical of the people talking about it than the ones that are just having their own experiences and like keeping it to themselves, because these things are personal. The reason I share is because I've gained so much value from other people sharing, so I want to participate. It's kind of like it's my it's how I honor the school of life. I'm in the school and I'm gaining knowledge from other people's sharings, their projects, and they're sharing their project, and um they're sharing their research and their experiences, and I'm learning so much, and it's validating my own experiences. It's helping to keep me from gaslighting myself into forgetting again what's really going on. And so I feel very compelled to do the same. I'm like, we got to keep on adding to it. Just everybody get out there, talk about what's going on, talk about it every day. Don't get so ungrounded that like you can't function, but don't let it go, because it's easy to fall back into the forgetting. It's easy to fall back into the status quo, and then we become really easy to control and manipulate, and I just can't go back to all that. So that's why I'm out here blabbing and blabbing about it. But I don't want to ever get lost in this trap of feeling like, because I have an ego, of course, like we all do, and I have a competitive streak, and I just think to myself, like, I want to be really good at this. I want to be really good at that. I want to learn these abilities. I want to develop myself. And I feel all good about, like, well, and I am kind of psychic because I've had this experience and that, and this has happened. And then you meet somebody else and they feel all special because they talked to one dead person, and you're like, "Ugh, whatever. I've talked to a bunch of non-physical entity, and it just you lose track of what's really going on. So it's like I'm trying to keep myself in check, but I'm also suggesting to us all that we stay in the mindset that this is very normal, because that will keep us humble, and it will also keep the information flowing in a healthy way. It gets really weird when people try to act like they have like more special powers or more special abilities, and they just try to maintain that so hardcore that it starts to block progress for them and it stifles the energy all around them. I've just seen it happen so many times. And so I never want that to happen to me or to you, because we're here to learn and we're here to expand, and we got to do it together. And and the other thing is, eventually, if you play it all out, like if you look at the trajectory of psychic development and you play it all out and you start to see 20 to 100 to 200 to 1,000 steps ahead, you realize there's only one way this is going. And it's not going to be pretty for the people who tried to use their abilities to manipulate others. It's not going to be pretty, because when everybody knows everything and has full access to consciousness and is able to navigate like the internet of reality, you can jump to any moment in time. You can experience any situation with a fully immersive view of every angle of what everyone was feeling and thinking in those moments. You know what's true. You know what was going on. You see the unconscious motivations, you see the hidden layers, you understand the bigger picture. So eventually we're all going to be there. So once you realize that, it's like you immediately wake up to the fact that, like, oh, I want to start every choice that I make from here on out. I want to be good with it. I want to feel really good about every choice I'm making, because I just need to live that way, or else I'm going to go crazy. Like if I'm trying to be sneaky and weird and hide things from myself or other people, or, if I'm unconscious of it, I'm unconscious of it. And that's just like a child growing up, and there's only so much you can do. And that's easy to forgive. It's easy to forgive yourself, and it's easy to forgive others. We all make mistakes, and we have our little immature moments, and we keep moving beyond it. But if you've gained access to a greater awareness and you're using that to be manipulative, it's like you're making a hell for yourself later down the line. You're creating a potential future suffering that is greater than anything I can currently even fathom. So I think for most of us, it's like once you come online to the awareness of not only what's happening, but what's possible and what's probable, it's a big wake up call that causes you to very quickly change yourself. And the cool thing is, it's easy to do, because while we cannot go back in time and change our past actions, you just start making better choices right here and right now. And you just start and you don't stop. And it's easy as that. And it feels so good. And life gets so much better. You free yourself from the victim mentality, you free yourself from feeling like you're at the mercy of everything, and you realize, actually, I have a lot of agency here. There's a lot that I can do to contribute to my own experience. And then, yes, there's also some randomness and some chaos that I just cannot control and therefore have to accept. And that's the little spice of life. I guess that's what we all signed up for, because that's what makes it interesting down here, is like we're not in control of everything, and there is a lot of struggle, and it's a big old mess. The psychic reality of this place is insane right now. It's literally insane. And we all feel it and we all know it. So it's like, well, what are we doing about it? You know? And I think a lot about the psychic weather. And this is something that many yogis talk about in different ways, and Buddhists think about this, and Luis Monero and Nancy Trivellato, and those who study thought forms, Shivananda. Basically, you start to take responsibility for what you're putting out into the ocean of consciousness that we're all swimming in. So we are these individuated units of consciousness. We are these little units of awareness with choice, free will, awareness, and then we're swimming in consciousness. We're immersed in it. And so our little experiencer is a part of the bigger thing that's rendering reality for us. And so we're in relationship to that too. That's what some people call God, you know, that's what some people call the universe, or they call it the Maya, the illusion, they call it all kinds of different things. But I like the idea of the larger consciousness system. It just strips away all the religious connotations and it makes it easy for me to feel a nice comfort that like everything around me is that, you know, all that I'm experiencing is just pure consciousness. It's information that my consciousness unit is rendering into these kind of icons that I can interact with and understand and experience. That's what physical matter reality is. But behind all of those is more information, many, many layers deep. And what people have come to realize is that it's those deeper, subtle layers that are like the ground from which all these seeds are growing up into these beautiful plants and flowers or whatever that are the physical matter reality. So, like when they talk about energy healing on the subtle plane in order to affect physical matter reality or on the gross plane, what they're saying is that like this reality is derived from that reality. So we really are in a subset. So you can understand why I'm obsessed with wanting more access to the larger reality or the more subtle reality, or you could call it the ground of all reality. And it's like going into that place is the place where we can have a larger, more powerful impact on this reality. So some of us are navigating purely from within this reality, trying to make all these changes. And we feel like we're just beating our head against that glass window, like that bird that's flying into the window over and over and over again, because we're not seeing the changes we want to see. And so I'm trying to put it to the test that, like, well, according to all these ancient yogis and these spiritual teachings and all of these modern esoteric teachings and modern science as well, we have to actually transcend and go into that other reality in order to create the changes we want to see here on this one. So, hence the out of body experience. That's why I'm so obsessed with it right now. I want to not only learn more about the greater reality, but I want to learn to navigate it. And I want to learn to do useful work on those levels that I can apply to this one. And even if I don't accomplish my goal of going out of body at will, I can still do that work through meditation, through energy work, through visualization, through intent. Because even if I'm not having all the fantastical experiences, I still have the power of my own intent and I can purify that intent and strengthen it. And that's all that's the tool. That's the greatest tool that we have here. That's the navigator. That is the change maker. That's the choice maker. And that is the truth behind our actions. And so that's kind of like where the score is being kept in this reality. It's all about our intent. And that's why it's easy to be forgiven for things that you're unconscious of as you go through the process of growth. It's like we're not all here to be perfect. We're here to learn and grow and change and develop. But at a certain point, we have to grow up enough to where we can take some responsibility and really apply ourselves to the best of our ability, make the choices that make sense, and see our lives improve and see the larger reality improve too. I just think life could be so fun, and a lot of times it is, and there's nothing stopping us from having the most beautiful, magical, loving experiences here except for ourselves and the psychic weather that we've created. So Every thought, every moment that we spend is meaningful. And that's the other big revelation that I got out of Tom Campbell's work that never left me. It's like there's no time in the day or at night, whether I'm asleep or awake, when my energy and my thoughts don't matter. Every single second of every day is an opportunity to be a frequency in the world that is contributing to that psychic weather and that collective energy. What am I bringing to the table? You know? And sometimes it's really good to try to just bring silence. The kind of silence where you're not even thinking. And that is like the hardest thing to do in this reality. So, whether or not I'm getting out of body, I can still work on my meditation. I can still work on my visualizations. I can still work on my energy work. And those things matter. It just feels good to be productive on a deep spiritual level. Anyway, those are my Sunday morning coffee thoughts. Right now, I'm just practice, practice, practice. I did about 4 hours yesterday. I'm going to do another couple hours today. Then I'm going to go see a movie. Then I'm going to have some dinner. Then I'm going to go back to work on Monday and I'm going to work my ass off all week long. Probably going to be exhausted every night. And I'm going to try to read and listen to podcasts and continue to immerse myself in this out of body stuff because the constant drip of other people's stories is really useful for me right now. But there's only so much we can do because life is just very demanding. So if you're out there trying to do your own practices, just know that you're not alone. We don't all have to be spiritual teachers. We don't all have to write books and be super amazing. We just have to mind our own business and do our own lessons. And we can have this community. We can be together. We can talk to strangers about these things. We can talk to our friends and family, or just keep it to yourself. You have the right to do whatever you want to do. Like I said before, some of the most psychic people that I know, they're the ones that talk about it the least. And it's so interesting because the more psychic you become, the more you can sense it. You can just see it and you can start to see the layers and you can see their wheels turning, and it's pretty fascinating. I'm like, "Ooh, those are the ones that I'm really curious about, like, cuz they're using their abilities, but they're keeping it to themselves." Very interesting. Very interesting world. Everyone is becoming more psychic. Just look for it, you will see it. And I've had so many experiences over the last couple years. It's almost like it's just so crazy, you guys, because it makes it feel like life is really this big dream. I often wonder, I'm like, did I die? Is this actually like some other reality frame? Did I die and I'm just one of those weird spirits that doesn't even know? If I am, help me. People, cross me over, whatever needs to happen. I'm just kidding. But, like it's so surreal. Like life has been weird for me for a long time and it's not stopping. So I just want to share that in case you feel the same way and you're not alone. That's all. So anyway, thanks for being here and I will see you next time on Shocks Talks.